Welcome to Zkast, everyone. I'm Zeus Caraval from ZK Research, and I'm here in San Francisco at RSA 2025. I'm inside WorkWise, which Menlo Security has graciously got a piece of, for their meetings. And I'm here with Pej Roshan, CMO of Menlo. Pej, it's been a while since we caught up. What's going on with you? What's going on with the company?
Thanks, Zeus. First of all, thanks for taking time to meet with me. It's been an exciting time for not just Menlo, but for the browser as a delivery platform for applications, cloud-based applications. Enterprise browsers are definitely more top of mind with more enterprises. I think you're probably seeing that as well. And it's raising lots of questions about what are some of the great use cases, these problems that are being solved here. And I'd love to be able to share with you some of the experience I've had with enterprises that we've worked with. Yeah,
and in fact, I think, it's funny because enterprise browsers, not new, right, secure browsers, but it seems like the technology's had a big uplift in usability, right? No longer need specialized browsers, things like that. And that's almost created it has created a resurgence in the industry, right? And I think one of the trends that it's followed is this, I think we've finally come to some sort of normality when it comes to how people are going to work. Right, you think about it, 6 years ago, right? The pandemic started. Everybody went home, and it seems that ever since then, we've been messing around with back to the office, not back to the office, and hybrid seems like it's the way forward, which has really changed, I think, the thought of what a workspace is or what work is. And so, what are your thoughts on that?
I definitely think that hybrid work is the path forward. We don't see many enterprises going full-time, return to office. I think that
or people quit.
People quit. And I do think that generationally, as millennials and Gen Z this is all they know. This is what their expectation is, to have the flexibility to be able to work from home some. In fact, I've been told that some have a hard time even working in the office when they need to get work done, that they prefer the solitude of being at home where it's quiet, where they can turn off Zoom and get stuff done.
Oh, they turn on YouTube, but that's another story.
Yeah. Maybe they turn on YouTube. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt for this conversation. It used to be 5 or 6 years ago, like you mentioned, that when you came into the office, you had maximum fidelity, right? You came into the office, that was where you had the best possible experience. All the resources were there. And I think if we apply that to cyber, that's where, when you kind of take the 6 facets of cybersecurity, identity, security operations, network security, endpoint security, data security, cloud security, they were all oriented around this notion that the sacred and holy was the office. But in a world of hybrid, where I'm spending, just again, broad brushes here, 1/3 of my time in the office, 1/3 of my time at home, 1/3 of my time on the road, the notion that I have high fidelity only in the office, for you and I, that would be unacceptable.
Yeah.
I need to be able to be as effective here when I'm at WorkWise, or when I'm at home in a hotel room, or in the office. And that places new demands on these 6, for lack of a better term, silos of security. This is where some of these are starting to mush together. And if you think about this new modern workspace, there's kind of 3 absolute rules that I view with this. One is that the preponderance of applications are cloud delivered now. And by virtue of being cloud delivered, they're mostly being accessed via the browser. Kind of the second tenet to this is AI is infused in every application. And if it's not today, it will be
coming
tomorrow, for sure. And I think agentic takes that to the next level as you move towards agentic AI-based solutions. And third, it really doesn't matter what kind of enterprise you are, what kind of knowledge worker you are. At the end of the day, what we trade in a world of data. So it's the data the content that I consume, the content that I create, the content and data that I interact with on a daily basis. It's all about data. And I think these 3 absolutes are changing those unique silos of network security, endpoint security, and data security in a way that's merging them together, overlapping them into something that we see as workspace security.
Yeah, and in fact, my research shows that only about 25% of the workers will be in office full time. Everyone else is going to be at least 1 day a week at home. I do think, it's interesting, the rise of browsers too. When I talked to a lot of the other security vendors about generative AI, the response always gets, well, that's in the browser, so we don't have visibility to it, right? Which,
oh my.
Well, that's true, right? I mean, things that are browser-based are browser-based, and if you're a network security vendor, you know it's browser-based, but you don't really know what's going on.
That's right.
And so when you talk about those silos being separate, talk about what those are and then how you bring them together.
Well, classically, if you start with network security, the 6 elements that I talked about, they're really focused on securing infrastructure and components. Network security is about, you think of a firewall is about securing access into the enterprise. VPNs and even ZTNA is about securing access into the network. Endpoint security is about securing the laptop. Email security is about securing your inbox. There needs to be something that's designed to secure Zkast. There's something designed to secure Pej. There's something designed to secure the employee and meet them where they are. And I think that's where things are changing, because no longer am I really worried about network security for exactly the reason that you said, because the secure web gateway, which we think of as the primary means of defending the browser and internet access and how we interface with the internet, is really living in a world of post-breach detect and respond. And we've proven that post-breach detect and respond fails. I did an interview this morning where the podcast host was like, my podcast used to be about the big breach of the week. He's like, it's in the thousands now.
Yes, yeah.
So the notion that detect and respond works, that's categorically failed. You need something that's preventative, that's preemptive, and the way we access our applications is through the browser. So we need more than just a network security. We need to look at the browser as a unique entity that has its own security requirements that still is easy to administer, but still easy to use. And again, that's one of the core tenets that we see with workspace security is there has to be an ease of use meeting us where we are.
Yeah. And so talk about some of the innovation then that Menlo's had to be able to adapt to this concept of workspace security.
Absolutely. Yeah. So from the notion of being able to work everywhere and have a consistent experience, when we talk to enterprises, their biggest complaints around everywhere access, if you think about VPN replacement projects and so on.
That everywhere, every device, every app.
Is depending on the kind of user I'm talking to and their specific needs, I have to implement a very different solution. So for a managed user, ZTNA is typically the default. And ZTNA is really just a minor iteration on top of a VPN, where VPN was doing authentication and authorization in addition to encryption. Most ZTNA solutions are adding the element of least privileged access. So where we've gone one step further, we add the element of continuous risk assessment. And we do that by literally air gapping the applications from ever being directly exposed to the internet and putting an isolation core, a proxy right in front of those applications, so users are only ever interfacing with the proxy, and that enables us to provide a consistent experience not just for managed workers but also unmanaged users.
Yeah.
And this is consultants, this is contractors, this is managed users using BYOD, like when I use my iPad on the plane. So I have a very consistent experience, and I'm not forced or relegated to using VDI because I'm this kind of user, or ZTNA because I'm that kind of user, or I'm not allowed to use a personal device, I'm forbidden to use this kind of device. This allows you to relax those constraints by providing a consistent experience that's also easy to roll out. That's one of the core areas that Menlo's innovating today. And you might hear us talk about this sometimes with VDI reduction.
Yep.
VDI is a wonderful technology. This is really about consistency of experience for the end users.
Yeah, VDI and RBI, these things have their place, but they're very kind of niche use cases. And the other problem I see with that, all the different type of access types, is users typically want the easiest one. And they will go through, through great lengths to make sure however they work, it's the easiest way to work. But then that means using consumer applications,
You're right.
finding their own type of access, and it's a little like, remember the original Jurassic Park when Jeff Goldblum said life finds a way? Well, he said users find a way.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I think the browser-based approach lets them work the way they want to work, but still be able to maintain corporate security that doesn't get in the way, and I think that's a big key.
Absolutely. Yeah. And from the standpoint of users find a way, when we think about preemptive cyber defenses, right? The notion that hey, we've given our users training, we've told them not to click. We should continue to do that training, but you should assume that users will click.
Yeah.
So the notion that you can detect those clicks after the attack has already started, that's a passe, dated notion. This is where preemptive cyber defenses come into play. Menlo's pioneered this with our isolation core, and now we've enabled with our own technology, but as well as a deep integration with Google, the ability to use computer vision, to use AI as the core means of detecting the attack before it's actually happened. So in real time, we're determining whether a phishing or ransomware attack has kicked off in between when the user clicks and when that page loads in the user's browser. Because like you said, we are in that data path.
Yeah.
And so we can, based off of user policy, we can either make that page read-only or block it outright, preventing the attacker from getting in the network in the first place. So blocking initial access out.
Yeah, the phishing piece is interesting too, because typically that was done by user education, but phishing has gotten so good, with deep fakes, it's getting even better.
Yes.
That I'm not sure we're going to be able to do it through user education a whole lot longer. You know, even I've talked to some really pretty seasoned security professionals that have been hit by it.
It's getting good.
Yeah.
It's getting really good, and you know we have to. They are not. The attackers are not underfunded. They are not at a loss for the latest cutting edge tools.
Yeah.
And so that's why, whether it's Menlo or some other solution, think about a preemptive means for blocking access. Just continue to invest in a post breach. Like the stat that really killed me was from 2023 to 2024, there was a 200% increase, a 3x increase in phishing attacks. 80% of them, 8 out of 10, were 0 hour.
Huh.
No signature existed for them that would be detectable. So these attacks would slide right through your secure web gateway, right through your firewall, right through your endpoint protection, and land when that user clicks. So that's a terrifying stat.
Yeah.
So preemptive becomes even more important moving forward.
Well, it's always safest to block it at its first point of contact too. So, all right. So with that being said, are there any customer examples? I think you mentioned you wanted to talk a little to go through.
Yeah. We've got we've had wonderful scenarios with customers in healthcare, in financial services, insurance, which I guess you could consider a part of financial services. Broadly, I think there is no question at this point that enterprise browser and the browser as a unique endpoint is key. And we're seeing that across the board. The feedback that we're getting from enterprises is primarily coming in three areas. So one, using the browser because it's already installed on every device in the enterprise, literally every device in the enterprise. Mobile device, tablet, laptop, you name it. It's already there. It makes the pace of deployment very, very quickly. So when we talk about enterprise browser, we're talking about Microsoft Edge, we're talking about Google Chrome, not a replacement browser, which is yet another piece of software that needs to be installed. Those are certainly, they have their place, but in our estimation and the estimations of analysts,
I think most people would agree with that.
Ephemeral, yeah. But having this application, the endpoint already there, and most browsers, especially the ones that are Chromium-based, have deep ties into the local operating system. So with our relationship with Google Chrome, we're able to get an endpoint footprint without ever having to install something there. So that means rolling out thousands, if not tens of thousands of users can be done in hours and days, as opposed to weeks and months.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
so that's very appealing for enterprises that are short-staffed, looking for rapid rollout, particularly in financial services, where when you're rolling this out, you're rolling it out for thousands of users, not a couple dozen.
Yeah. All right. And just last question, right? Yeah. Obviously, we're at RSA, the big going on the show floor. What are you going to see most there is AI, right? So
yeah, for sure.
What are you guys thinking about with AI?
So there's a number of interesting things that, when it comes to the enterprise browser and workspace security, where AI is key. One, we talked about for preemptive cyber defenses. The second is around data security. So one of the challenges that we hear from enterprises around data security is it's a very laborious, static manual process creating the policies for detecting data to prevent leakage. But we recently acquired a company called Votiro. We have a capability now that allows us to fall somewhere in the middle of DSPM and DLP, where we're able to find the data as well as dynamically create policy that allows us to prevent leakage of that data inside of an organization, and using AI to do so, using AI to allow us to scale that and keep those policies flexible and dynamic as opposed to rigid and static. Seeing AI used for these types of capabilities is fantastic. On the flip side, being able to enable enterprises to allow their users to access generative AI sites and agentic AI tools with the confidence that they are controlling the data that is there and not from leaking out, I think is key.
Yeah, well, like I said, those are all browser-based, right? So
all browser-based. So being able to provide that level of peace of mind enables organizations to open these tools up to their users, make them more productive.
Yeah. In fact, I think one of the interesting aspects of what you do is if Menlo's in place and you're using a secure browser, now users can actually pick and choose the AI tool they want to use without worrying about the security, because you're securing it kind of at a foundational level.
That's right.
Where before you might have to think about how I secure this one and how I secure this one, which you can see it getting complicated very fast, right?
Yeah, CISOs, the key things they're telling us is we need visibility into what they're using. They're worried about prompt injection, prompt poisoning. So having, and data leakage, obviously. So having peace of mind around that it's wonderful to be able to provide that capability.
All right, well, thanks for the update then.
Says, thank you, appreciate the time.
Anything else you want to add?
Come visit us out on the show floor.
Yeah, so all right. So on behalf of Pej Roshan from Menlo Security, I'm ZS Care Developer from ZK Research, and thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button. I'll see you next time on the next episode of Zkast.